ORRIONA, Book 1, Legacy, Chapter 13, The Wrong Card. Kai, the ORRIONA.
The quantum-grade gaming rig ORRIONA had on board outclassed anything Kai had ever touched by light years. Every component gleamed with pristine excellence, a machine crafted for those who didn't just play in the Holo Gate Network, but lived there. The neural link pulsed at the edge of his vision, waiting, an interface engineered to bridge thought and action without delay, eliminating the barrier between player and machine completely. Kai hesitated. He understood what it could do. He'd devoured forum posts about rigs like this, how top-ranked pilots and streamers swore by them. Pure mental flow. No lag. No lost frames between decision and execution. But something about surrendering that final step of control unsettled him deeply. He lowered himself into the chair and reached for the manual interface instead. Bypassing the NLI entirely, better to keep his hands busy. The Holo Gate Network spread before him, vast and immediate. None of the stuttering connections or error-ridden data he'd battled through on Edgepoint. Here, the response time felt instantaneous, no compression artifacts, no ghosting effects from overburdened relays.
Void Runner 117, initializing.
Every click and swipe registered with crisp intention. This wasn't just a system, it was a panoramic window into everything happening across the known galaxy. For 30 minutes, he explored the network with calculated casualness, browsing tournament standings and player forums, as if merely catching up after a brief absence. He checked in with his gaming companions. Streaker had dominated the Breachmaster circuit, Harley finally secured Tier 1 sponsorship, and Webb had gone on a date, describing it with her distinctive analytical flair. He sent messages here and there, nothing suggesting urgency or genuine engagement. But beneath this ordinary activity, Kai wove another pattern entirely. Each query built a layer of white noise, a screen of mundane data requests camouflaging his true intent. Iowa had vanished into the chaos surrounding that Belloros cruiser explosion. Her absence left questions that kept him awake at night. He'd watched that escape shuttle streaking away, unable to shoot it down, unwilling to risk killing her. The memory of his hesitation gnawed at him. Now he needed to find some trace of her, some proof that she'd survived.
Welcome to the Galaxy Cafe. You're visiting the Meridian District.
The oldest game client in his arsenal loaded with a lengthy series of compatibility warnings.
Error.
Its graphics were laughably outdated, pixelated characters moving through blocky environments with animations so stiff they bordered on comedic. But the virtual cafe had served as their emergency contact point for years, its very obsolescence making it invisible to most security sweeps. The game loaded with a cheerful chime that felt jarringly out of place. The virtual cafe appeared, a perpetual sunset casting long shadows through the windows. The NPC server moved in predictable patterns, asking the same 3 questions to tables. The cafe's layout had been the first layer of their code. Kai navigated to table 3, signaling he was communicating from an unknown location. Then he took the leftmost chair, which meant he went willingly. His avatar sat with blocky movements, the animation sequence cutting frames as it settled. As he sat and touched the menu, it triggered the server NPC to approach.
Welcome. Would you like to order?
Kai selected yes.
What would you like to drink?
This was the second layer to their code. Kai selected tea.
What would you like to eat?
Kai selected the croissant.
Great, thanks. Your order will be out shortly. Take a look at our bulletin board for available jobs in the Meridian District.
He glanced toward the virtual message board near the cafe entrance, scanning for any posts from Iowa's username. The board remained empty of her distinctive coded phrases. No sign she'd been here since he left Edgepoint. The NPC server returned to his table. its movement pattern as predictable as it had been 7 years ago when they'd first discovered this forgotten corner of the network. The white porcelain mug appeared first, followed by the pastry that comically took up half the available table space, its polygons stretching at odd angles.
Can I get you anything else? Would you like to select a song? Would you like to know what else there is to do in the Meridian District?
Kai selected nothing, letting the dialogue options time out. The server remained in position 7, directly between his table and the window, before resuming their patrol route. He memorized their exact location. If they stood elsewhere when he returned, someone else had logged in and entered the cafe. He closed the game client, but not before ensuring his character remained exactly as positioned. Tea untouched, croissant waiting. The message was clear to anyone who knew their code. I'm safe. I left willingly. I'll respond when available. Could she even access the game client from wherever she was now? Had Jorik Sen allowed her that freedom, or was she trapped? Her considerable skills serving his organization with no choice in the matter. The hollow feeling in his chest expanded. He pushed it aside and switched to the tournament team chat. After firing off a final message, he checked his chronometer. 15 minutes until the briefing. Plenty of time to arrive first, to position himself advantageously. But when he reached the briefing room, others had already assembled. The realization sent an electric jolt of vulnerability across his shoulders. Being last, being unprepared, that was how you ended up dead on edge point. Never again. He scanned the room with his usual efficiency, cataloging positions and expressions. Val sat reviewing data on her tablet. Ryan and Kellen stood by the tactical display, their conversation a mixture of medical protocols and combat strategies. Nix gestured animatedly to Val, his antennae vibrating as he spoke. The chair beside Val slid silently as Kai claimed it. He kept his movements casual, as if his later arrival was intentional rather than a tactical error. A slight movement caught his attention. Jodder, Val's ancient bot companion, shifted position. The robotic machine's frame bore evidence of countless modifications. Parts salvaged, adapted, improved over what must have been centuries of operation. One section of plating near the core processor looked particularly distinctive, the metallurgical pattern suggesting early gate expansion era tech. The sight triggered memories of his own restoration project, an ancient companion bot he'd pulled from EdgePoint's waste processing center. He'd found it buried beneath mining equipment and broken cargo loaders, the usual mechanical detritus of a frontier outpost. But something about its design had caught his eye. The joints clearly engineered for humanoid interaction rather than industrial labor. For months between runs and gaming tournaments, he'd scavenged for compatible parts, testing circuits, cleaning corroded connection points. Most salvage hunters ignored companion bots. No profit when the mines needed heavy lifters and translation units. Iowa had called it a fool's errand.
That neural matrix is too degraded.
She'd insisted, examining the fragmented emotion processors.
Some things are too broken to fix.
Yet he'd caught her more than once, meticulously cleaning decades of corrosion from its neural ports. They never acknowledged it, this silent collaboration. But sometimes he'd return to find a newly fabricated component placed beside the inert frame. Jodder's optics rotated toward him. Kai offered a slight nod, a gesture the bot returned. This machine represented everything he'd tried and failed to resurrect in that lifeless shell: personality, loyalty, a presence that transcended simple programming. The air rippled as Jodder activated his holographic array. A cascade of color filled the space between them.
Citizens of the Inner Meridian Zone, and every soul patched in from the Frontier Fringe. We are live on Pintos 4, inside the Galactic Tournament Holo Arena. And if you can hear my voice right now, you are exactly where the galaxy's eyes are pointed. 4 quadrants, dozens of circuits, hundreds of elimination rounds, and it all comes down to this floor, this arena, this moment.
Recognition surged through Kai, followed by confusion. Something was off about the projection. The gaming corporation's logos were familiar but incorrect, the seating configuration similar but not identical to the layouts he'd memorized from endless tournament broadcasts.
These pilots didn't just grind the Breachmaster circuit, they survived it. They clawed through tier qualifiers, burned their CP credits on rigs that cost more than a gate jump.
The timestamp flashing in the corner explained everything. 5 centuries passed.
The Holo Gate Network connects every world in the known galaxy. Commerce, communication, civilization. But once a year, it belongs to them.
Kai straightened, his professional interest still fully engaged.
Let's get ready to find out who's the best in the IMZ. The Galactic Finals. Start now.
Val noticed his reaction, a half smile lifting the corner of her mouth.
Yeah, he does that.
Project holo gaming tournaments at random?
Shares memories.
Val said, though the slight furrow in her brow told Kai this particular one had caught her off guard too.
He can't always choose what surfaces. The older the archive, the messier it gets.
The holographic scene shifted, colors rippling like an aurora as it focused on a central figure.
Piera Jaren, our asteroid charger champion.
The woman's features echoed Val's. Same determined jaw, same analytical intensity in her eyes. As Val leaned forward, her usual confident demeanor faltered for just a moment. A genuine smile formed on Kai's lips. Not the poker face he used at gaming tables, but something warmer, more spontaneous. Didn't know you had a pro in the family.
Neither did I.
Val's voice carried the weight of discovery as she absorbed this fragment of her lineage. Her eyes remained fixed on the projection, taking in the exo-rig's design, the champion's stance that mirrored her own approach to engineering challenges. Kai studied Pieria's profile, trying to determine if this was genuine revelation for Val or simply forgotten history resurfacing. His attention shifted to Jodder, noting how the bot's multicolored projector remained locked on the scene. The ancient machine wasn't just displaying family history. He was building a connection between past and present, between Val's heritage and Kai's passion. According to Orriona's personnel files, Kai would be competing in the same arena on Pentos IV, schedule permitting. And here was Jodder, having witnessed the roar of those crowds, the tension before each match, the electric anticipation of high-stakes competition 5 centuries ago. The gesture resonated with Kai in ways he hadn't expected. In his world, authentic moments of connection were rare treasures. He nodded toward the bot again, appreciation overtaking his usual caution. The ambient lighting shifted, rich amber tones deepening as Jodder's projection dissolved. Threads of gold filtered through the air, millions of tiny cubes assembling themselves into Orriona's form at the head of the table with quiet inevitability. Angular shadows streaked across the tactical display. Game time. When she spoke, her voice carried a careful neutrality that nonetheless commanded everyone's attention.
56 hours ago, I intercepted a coded distress signal. Its origin, an Axrathan vessel traveling through the frontier sectors.
Kai leaned forward, tracking the holographic star map expanding above their heads. Projection showcased system after system, before focusing on a single route outlined in pulsing red. The beacon's urgent rhythm reached through the vacuum of space and sank into his chest.
The recovered footage is fragmentary, but significant.
The star map dissolved into damaged video feed. Static tore across the projection, obscuring half the image with digital artifacts. Yet the devastation was unmistakable. An entire Axrathan convoy reduced to twisted hulks drifting among silent stars. Massive war freighters had their armor plating ripped open, atmosphere venting in glittering streams. A lone battleship struggled to maintain minimal operation, its core drive pulsing in desperate bursts. Escape pods tumbled through the void like scattered seeds that found no soil. Kai forced himself to watch without flinching, though his insides went cold. He caught Kellen's reaction, knuckles whitening around the back of a chair, and knew immediately they were seeing something beyond routine disaster. Ryan's posture went rigid, likely calculating casualties in his head. The sterile walls of the briefing room were suddenly too thin, too close to the carnage displayed before them.
That vessel. It was a priestess escort fleet, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's not all Axrathan wreckage. That battleship, that's a Philicon-class hull. Sector Guard 1st Division. They don't deploy those outside of High Command escorts.
Val ran her fingertip along the edge of her datapad, silent but watching intently.
The transmitted footage is incomplete. The primary aggressor and most of the attack itself are absent from the record, which suggests not only a carefully orchestrated strike, but coordination from Axrathan insiders.
Even from his seat, Kai felt the weight of that statement pressing down. He'd spent years perfecting small-time cons, back-alley hustles on edge point, trading wit and fast reflexes for survival. Now he faced political upheaval that could reshape the entire galaxy. The scale dwarfed anything he'd encountered before. Kellen exhaled slowly, his posture shifting to accommodate new weight.
Not many forces out there can take on an Axrathan battle convoy.
Nick sat perched, closest to the hologram's edge.
Could it be the second quadrant looking to settle old scores?
The question carried serious implications.
That's one possibility,
Val replied, frowning at the debris field.
They've had simmering tensions for ages.
Kai glanced at Jotter. The ancient bot stood motionless, optical sensors reflecting images of twisted metal and floating bodies. Kai sensed the machine wasn't merely observing, but cross-referencing centuries of accumulated data. Wars, alliances, betrayals, patterns the rest of them could only guess at. Oriona spoke again, her golden form spreading light across the table like flowing water.
Our objective is to locate any survivors and transport them to Outpost Zell, an Axrathan system.
Ryan studied the star chart.
The medical bay aboard is genuinely impressive. Better than most hospitals I've worked in. That said, it was built to serve a crew, a handful of survivors we can treat well. Beyond that, we're rationing care rather than delivering it.
Kai barely registered the words. His thoughts remained fixed on the footage, empty escape pods spinning into darkness, the near certainty that most passengers were already lost. There won't be many survivors, he said quietly, meant more as revelation than comment.
My initial assessment would agree with that statement. I estimate a maximum of 10 survivors, most likely among them High Priestess Nienna.
A complete stillness fell over the briefing room. The low thrum of the environmental systems, the electronic tone of the holographic displays, all of it vanished from Kai's awareness. Air locked in his lungs. High Priestess Nienna. The name echoed in his mind, erasing every tactical consideration. This wasn't a contract anymore. This was history. His gaze shot across the table. The warm complexion Ryan normally carried had vanished, leaving his skin the color of bleached bone. Beside him, Val's work-worn hand flew up to cover her mouth, muffling a sharp intake of air. Kai glanced back at Kellen. The pilot had leaned his weight against the back of an empty chair, his hand clamped so tightly on the carbon composite frame that the material emitted a low, protesting groan. But it was Nix's reaction that was the most unsettling. The Terry Karan, a being of constant motion and commentary, was utterly still. His antennae, which perpetually relayed his every thought, were frozen upright. His mouth was slightly open, as if a perfectly crafted line of dialogue had died on his lips before it could be born. When Nix finally moved, it was a slow, deliberate lowering of his antennae. He let out a long, controlled breath.
Well, no pressure then.
With a gesture, Oriona shifted the hologram to display a battered frigate.
Val, Nix, and Jodder will board the Axrathan vessel.
Oriona explained, highlighting potential docking ports.
Once inside, they will deploy 6 search and rescue drones to locate potential survivors. After the drones are active, Val and Nix will proceed to install a remote interface module at one of the ship's main data junction points. This connection will provide me with direct access to their systems, 95% more efficient than attempting remote access.
Kai studied the plan, anxiety climbing his spine like an electric current. Val was already examining the interface specs, her focus a stark contrast to the apprehension building in him.
Once interfaced with the Axrathan vessel, my processing capabilities will be severely limited. Kellen and Kai will remain here in a defensive capacity.
Oriona continued, activating another section of the overlay.
With Ryan overseeing the medical bay, prepared to receive the High Priestess and her wardens.
Kai swallowed the tightness in his throat. Standing watch felt easier than boarding a ghost ship, but he also sensed he was beginning to unravel under the pressure of the stakes. Emergency protocols, infiltration steps, predicted attack patterns. The details blurred together. A sharp regret stabbed through him for every hour wasted in gaming pods, pursuing empty victories that would never prepare him for this reality. He should have been studying Axrathan cruiser schematics, not chasing tournament rankings or reading about Webb's awful romantic dinner.
Is everyone clear on the objective? I want to be certain each of you has what you need before we proceed.
Kai forced himself to nod, adopting the confident expression he'd perfected during years of running low-level scams.
The locking mechanism on the
That
outer
cruiser
hull.
decimated. Could it be?
This is not how I pictured meeting the High Priestess.
He retreated into himself. When awareness returned, he was following Kellen into the corridor. The meeting ended, the sound of his footsteps bouncing along metal walkways. Each echo carried and emphasized their approaching deadline. He thought of his cramped alcove back on Edge Point, the hidden space he'd considered a sanctuary from the wider galaxy. Its tinted windows had offered a peaceful vantage point to observe the station's swirling nebula. He'd always told himself that time stretched endlessly ahead, that he had years to refine his talents before facing real challenges. Now those assumptions felt thin, brittle in a way he hadn't noticed until they were already breaking. Reality had arrived in the form of a destroyed Axrathan convoy and the High Priestess's desperate call. Kai couldn't stop mentally replaying the wreckage. What use were card tricks and quick talk against forces that could destroy the most powerful ships in the galaxy? He watched Kellen's back as the pilot moved ahead, shoulders squared with the natural authority that came from years of sector guard discipline. Each gesture carried the weight of real combat experience, real training, real purpose. Not simulated battles with reset buttons. And Val, Meridian Engineering Academy graduate who'd spent decades turning theory into survival. Even Jodder contained centuries of knowledge. Irreplaceable wisdom encoded through experiences stretching back to before Kai was born. Ryan with his surgical hands and elite medical training. Nix, whose theatrical antics masked the kind of brilliant mind that had cracked viral codes while entire research stations stood baffled. Then there was him. Kyros, card sharp, con artist, tournament gamer. His personnel file must have looked like a joke compared to theirs. Why had Oriona chosen him? What tactical advantage could he possibly offer against forces capable of decimating an Axrathan battle fleet guarding the High Priestess? He tried to recall his tournament statistics. Top 0.03% in reaction time. Strategic adaptation rating in the elite tier. 12 consecutive championships in variable scenario response. But those were just games. Numbers on a screen. Victories that reset with each new match. The corridor stretched before him, sterile and judgmental. He couldn't turn back, nowhere to go but forward. His hand found the wall, tracing along the cool metal as he walked. The familiar gesture steadied him. the way it always had when his mind started spiraling beyond his control. On edge point, he'd trail his fingers along the casino's outer wall as he centered himself before a con. It was automatic now, this need for something solid beneath his fingertips when everything else felt like it was slipping away. He told himself then it was Iowa slipping away. Her ascent to the upper levels, her transformation into someone who belonged in tailored clothes and corporate suites. But that had been easier than admitting the truth. It wasn't just Iowa he'd lost on Edgepoint. It was himself. Somewhere between the desperate child from Ula's frozen dark and the calculating survivor who worked cons in station shadows, Kai had simply faded. The thought of the broken companion bot surfaced again, dragged up by his searching mind like debris from a wreck. Kai's steps slowed as the weight of the comparison settled over him. Oriona had assembled her hand carefully, every player chosen for a reason. She'd seen something in his tournament statistics, his tactical scores, his adaptability ratings, invested her considerable resources in pulling him from his corner of the galaxy. He knew more than most what a stacked deck was, had dealt enough of them. He also knew what they couldn't protect against. One wrong card didn't announce itself. It just waited until the moment the stakes were highest, and then cost you the hand. His fingers pressed harder against the wall, seeking something solid in the cool metal. What if he was it?